Okay, so here we are at Heraclea on SPQR, and, well, been making mistakes throughout the game, obviously, but I think I'm beginning to get a better feel for getting the lines correct, etc. And it's really hard to keep them in any sort of semblance once battles occur. Right now, I think I've been overall erring in favor of the Romans, and certainly the victory points seem to show that 171 Greek losses to 117 Romans. Pyrrhus launched a push forward with his phalanxes rather than going further with the elephants. This wasn't a line move. Uh-oh, forgot this. Move this forward. The javelineers shoot him successfully, and those are heavies, and they're low. They may be out. I gotta look that up. Okay. So the response, well, one of the phalanxes broke, which is pretty bad. The line is now shattered there. They're worried about Romans coming around from behind. I think things are pretty bad for the big heart of the Greek army. Yeah. The elephants, you know, if they chased those cav off, that wasn't enough. They have to come around and hit here, and I've still got the non-elite moves for Pyrrhus to slide over, maybe affect some of this, and then get the elephants moving a little later. The Romans, on the other hand, got 2 activations off of this praetor, and he managed to smash a couple of Greek units forward. That's a Roman. Can't move there. Okay, but ooh. We need to check this guy. I don't know. Yeah, I think they're okay. Ooh, he's close. Okay. Anyway. A lot of little pieces here that are moving that I'm not sure I'm getting everything right, but you know, it's a learning experience. Okay, so over here on the right flank, the Greeks are trying to form up another line so that they can hit the Romans again. They never really hit hard against these units in the back yet, so I don't know how well that's going to work. Romans are regrouping their cav down here, and they attacked and managed to rout the Greek guard cav down here at some cost to themselves. It's worth something, I guess. We're coming towards the end here, where we only have the good Greek commanders, the Forzanop, and the one main dude for the Roman army. Trying to be more careful following the correct order sequences, like I keep pointing out. It's tough, though. A little bit of movement. The Greek cav chased off some of the Roman cav from here, and I did some more reorganization on this line. Most important thing, though, the consul smacked another legion, sent it routing, lost one of his own units to a rout that way, and at that point Pyrrhus ended up trumping momentum. So now Pyrrhus gets to take his couple actions, see if he can save this situation somehow. Okay, so our situation this turn, seeing some Greek units and a couple more Roman units go. Not a lot of, I think the Greeks took a little bit more losses, but it's now at 217 to 144. And the Romans have more routing units in danger at this point, so it may not be as bad as it seems. Pyrrhus did a pretty good job of rallying things up here. This guy is okay. His phalanxes are in somewhat better shape, but still, it's clear right now with what happened here, this line has done a better job. The hoplites, because of their slightly better maneuverability, have done a better job against the Romans, who are more maneuverable. But I'm hoping by getting this line together, I can make a reasonable attack against them. The phalanxes, they have real trouble because they just don't have that second line behind them. And so there's these gaps, there's been this outflanking. We're still going to see outflanking attacks going on down here. There's just no way to protect them from the Romans. Plus, well, the cav is facing, the Greek cav over here, it's pretty decent, but it's facing a solid legional line, whereas the elephants did not quite engage, but they're facing some cav, which is really going to hate them. And then they come in as a reinforcement to an area that's already doing pretty well. So I don't feel like the Greek cav over here can do much to win the battle unless the Romans make this area too weak. If they weaken it too much in, say, pursuing the phalanxes, but that's hard. Their leader's just not capable of moving that many units, it seems, especially with the trump option, as Pyrrhus was able to pull off. Alright, let's go to the next turn. So being very careful with the rolls here. The elephants moved in to the cav. The cav, from what I see of the rolls, only suffers a real severe, I mean, they don't like having elephants hit them, but trying to do an orderly withdrawal, they get a +5 to their TQ check. And take cohesion hits equal to the difference. That's likely to rout them just seeing the elephants come. So they stood. Well, one routed anyway, just seeing. The other one got to fight and did a couple hits to the elephant, which is cool. Now, this is the first turn of the elephant's attack, and I may want to move them more than once because there's a penalty, or there's a bonus on this turn. They don't have to make tactical quality checks. We'll see. Meanwhile, the lousy praetors are largely going around failing to rally troops and sending them into the permanently routed pile. We got one success, I think. Weep. Something that didn't get destroyed but ran from the praetor. Cute little interaction happened where 3 Greek units, well, one was the phalanx in place, were commanded to attack. 2 hoplites charged forward. One of them failed its TQ for battle and turned and ran. The others fought. They broke the 2 Roman legionary units they were fighting. One advanced forward and is going to be in a flank position. But the other, the phalanx, ran into these velites who are facing kind of the wrong way but can still chuck their javelins to their flank. They gave it its last point before it broke, and it turned and ran. And with that situation, we see the Romans trying to form up a line as best they can on this side, and it's beginning to look a lot stronger than it was a little while ago. Yes, there's a bunch of units routing. Nothing I can do about them. They're in the middle of the river. But we got some rallies and a couple failed rallies as well. But, you know, doing what I can to try to keep my points from skyrocketing as the Romans. Not a lot left on the field. Basically, the good commanders, the 4s and up. Romans didn't want to bring their regrouped unit in. They instead rallied it a bit of cohesion hits because they're still afraid of those elephants being activated all over them. Well, we get to see the threat of the Greek cav. Leonidas moved 3 of his units himself, slammed and broke, pursued, destroyed the Roman flank unit. The Romans had to roll to do a trumping, and that means this guy actually has been passed by. He can't get dual he can't get momentum. Alright, well, let's see what the Romans are going to do. They stopped the cav attack that way, but they're still kind of in not a great position there. Of all things, the infantry actually charged forward at the cav and at the flank of this one. Basically, they had the ability to hit flank shots on it and cause the cav to take some cohesion hits trying to get out of battles they really didn't want to fight. Of course, this is really making a tempting looking line to crack, but it looks like it might buy a little bit of time. If I get a continuation here, and I do, that means I can attack the main line. Now, at this point, Pyrrhus is going to try to trump that. He's pretty good at trumping, but he failed, and he is done. His elephants aren't going to get any additional bonus. They would have only really been going after these units, but still. And that allows our good old Levinus a chance to hit the phalanxes. Well, the overall effect the consul had was quite great. He smashed in, took out another phalanx. And then, good old Heraclea had very little that he thought he could do. So he decided on a vainglorious attack and smashed here, 3 units into here. One was a charge, the rest were not. And did fairly well. One of his phalanxes is routed, but he broke a bunch of Romans in there. So it's not that terrible, but there's this gap here, and the phalanxes are gone. And I don't see the cav being able to do much. They might take out some infantry, but it's not going to be that. I'll come back after I score what the losses are. We got some routing units too, so it's going to be not as clear as it looks there. So after the Romans fled the field, the forces that were routing, at least some of them, they're at 328, Greeks are at 399. I should have left the piles out there to show you. There were a lot of Roman units that left. That's about an equal spread. They both, what, 180 points here, 170 here, right? No, 180 there. A little bit more for the Romans, not much. Okay, so, but what about the field? Remember, the Roman army is, they can take the same losses approximately, but the Roman army is a little bigger, which means losses aren't going to affect it as much. But let's look at what's routing. This whole line of Romans going here, a couple cav here. On the other hand, we got a couple phalanxes that may or may not be able to be recovered, a cav unit that slipped through, and that's about it. The Romans definitely have their issue here, but this looks just too easy. So I don't think the Greeks can win this one at this point, but we'll keep fighting it out. I'm going to wrap this one up and send it to you guys. I'll do it the slow way, not with my wireless thievery. All right, onward and upward.